Okay. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for meeting with me. I really appreciate it because after our senior manager sent out her proposal for how to divide up this year's budget, I actually had some concerns about how she wants to handle it. And I wanted to share that with you and see what you think and maybe kind of brainstorm together about perhaps a different way to approach it.
Okay, I'm willing to hear you out.
Yeah. So I guess what I was concerned about is that her proposal is to divide up the budget equally across all of our departments. And I understand why she would take that approach because it's equal, but it's not equitable. And it seems like it's really not in line with our agency's value around equity and trying to live that in our work.
Hmm. I mean, I didn't necessarily see it that way. Um, I feel like splitting it equally between all of us is really the only fair way to go about it. Um, but I'm curious what you mean by equitable and equal because I really see them as the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, on the surface, it is kind of logical, but the way that I think about equity and that we've been kind of starting to talk about it as an organization is that there are some populations who need more support to reach their goals and sort of achieve their self-actualization and get what they need. And so if we're doing things equitably, we're sort of honoring the fact that there are some folks in our community that need a little bit more, a little bit extra to get there compared to folks that are maybe a little bit middle class or just doing better financially, who definitely deserve support but don't need quite as much.
Hmm. I guess I can understand your reasoning. Um, so would you be advocating for your organization to get more, or because I don't know if I would be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I would because I'm worried about the increased need that we're seeing in our community around mental health and then the connection that there is between mental health and severe mental health issues or challenges and houselessness, which is a big issue we've been trying to figure out how to address in our community. And so I ran some numbers, and our caseloads and our requests for support that we're having to turn down or put on the wait list have gone up about 20% in this last year. And I was thinking about you and the program that you run around homeownership, which I know you're very passionate about. And I wanted to understand more about where that passion comes from for you.
Hmm. Um, well, home ownership to me is the American dream, right? It's what everybody wants, um, to be able to have the stability of home ownership instead of having to really just be renting and kind of throwing away your money when you're not really working towards anything. And I know the cost of living and rent has just skyrocketed in the last couple of years, especially in Portland. It's difficult for people to be able to attain that even when they're in the middle class. So I am really passionate about that, and I hear your passion as well, and I don't want to discount what you're saying too. And I mean, I think that there's a lot of important work that my organization's doing with low income individuals to allow them to get housing. So I mean, I hear what you're saying about the population that you work with being really vulnerable, and I just I mean, I would be okay with you advocating for more. I think that there's populations that I work with too that I have programs that could be funded better as well.
Yeah, you talk, I'm almost wondering, I'm seeing a connection between the two because I ran some numbers on available housing inventory in the metro area and the rising cost of living. And there's less inventory even available for us to be able to help people transition out of renting. And what I'm concerned about with our vulnerable population, especially people who are juggling work and self-sufficiency and getting support that they need for their mental illness challenges, is that those folks are going to be treading water or even finding themselves going underwater before they ever have the opportunity to connect with your side of the agency to start to work toward that American dream. And so what I've been thinking about is there a way to do some kind of equity equalization or formula for the way that we're thinking about the budget, so that we're being more thoughtful than just slicing up the pieces of the pie, and really thinking about the progression that our clients take from houselessness or vulnerability of eviction, which is a huge problem here. And if we can get them stable, we can then think about a continuum of transitioning those same clients into your office to have them work toward that dream of homeownership. And it may take a few years, but what we could do instead of what we always do, which is just think 12 months ahead, is really build a plan around how we're going to use our resources to move people across the whole continuum.
Wow, yeah, I never really made a connection between my own program and how it might be harder for the people in your program to access my program's resources. I think you're making really good points. I think it's hard when it seems like all the departments are just trying to grab at the money that's available. But um, I mean, I think we both want what's best for our departments and for the service users. So, I mean, I would be willing to talk with you more about it, um, and maybe look at working together or something to see what more resources we could both get. Because I certainly think there's probably other parts of the organization that we work with that maybe don't need the funds as much or more than others. So yeah, I would be willing to talk more about it.
That's great. Pretend that I have all the answers. I've done some research into how to put together an equity formula. And I think as a management team, we should sit down and talk about it and commit to do that. And I'd love to work on a proposal for you, or not for you, a proposal with you, and have us talk to the other managers and really make that commitment to living up to our equity value without having it turn into a fight between all of us for money, which could really impact our culture.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't want the thing that I don't want to happen is for the people that I serve to be shortchanged. Um, and I think that's true of you too. So, if we can come up with a way um, to fairly distribute the resources, then I'm for that.
So it sounds like I just want to make sure that I clearly understand you're willing to keep talking about it, not willing to just give up resources right now, but open to putting together a plan for us to think
Well,
about it.
I would, if you were willing to if you were willing to go over the budget together with me and kind of show me where the money that I would be giving up would be coming from. I mean, maybe some of my programs that work with low income individuals can't lose some money, but maybe there's some wiggle room in other places in my budget where I might be willing to give up some of my funds.
Ooh.
If you were willing to show me how, like, what that looked like exactly, like where the money was coming from, and just so I make sure that I don't shortchange things where it doesn't need to be shortchanged.
Cool. I like that idea. I want to respect your time. We're a little over what we had planned for. So why don't we look at schedules and find time to get together and continue the conversation?
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you so much for hearing me out and helping me think about this.
No problem.
Bye.